generational center arrives in the NBA. He wins Rookie of the Year and transforms a struggling franchise overnight. And by the third season, he's leading his team to the NBA Finals. The league crowns him the future. His team is young, homegrown, and years ahead of schedule, but standing in his way is a veteran contender led by one of the most influential centers basketball has ever seen. A team nobody expected to make it this far. A team that refuses to die. And when the finals arrive, the young superstar's championship dreams began to unravel. You probably think I'm talking about Victor Wembanyama. I'm talking about Shaquille O'Neal. Because the deeper you look into 2026 NBA Finals, the more it feels like someone pulled the old script from 1995 and started reusing pages. A young generational center, a homegrown contender, veteran challenger, a collapse that shouldn't happen, a championship-altering tip-in that feels too familiar to ignore. If the NBA is written like a story, then this chapter looks suspiciously like a remake. But if you still don't think the NBA is scripted, sit tight till we get to the end. Chapter 1, The Chosen Ones. Every era gets an unavoidable superstar. In the 1990s, it was Shaquille O'Neal. In the 2020s, it might be Victor Wembanyama. Both went first overall, won Rookie of the Year, and immediately changed the identity of their franchises. And both reached the NBA Finals in their third season. That's not normal development, that's acceleration. Shaq and Wemby skipped steps, but that's not the only thing. Orlando paired Shaq with Penny Hardaway, a dynamic young guard expected to grow into a co-star. And San Antonio paired Wemby with Stephen Castle, another young backcourt piece projected to develop alongside him. Different decades, same blueprint. Build the future early and see how far it can go. Chapter 2, The Cast Matches. What made both teams dangerous wasn't just talent, it was timing. In 1995, Orlando wasn't seen as a completed project. They were seen as the beginning of something larger. Shaq was 23, Penny was 23. The league wasn't reacting to what they were. It was reacting to what they were about to become. The same narrative surrounded San Antonio in 2026. Wemby wasn't viewed as a finished star. He was viewed as a future dynasty centerpiece. And when you match the supporting cast, the structure starts to feel strangely familiar. We've already gone over Penny Hardaway and Stephen Castle, but let's take a look at Nick Anderson and Devin Vassell, filling nearly identical roles as homegrown wings, developed internally, trusted to provide scoring, spacing, and stability around their stars, and both drafted 6 years prior to their finals run. Dennis Scott and Keldon Johnson serve the same function in 2 different decades. Floor spacers whose job is to punish defenses for collapsing on the superstar. And even the veteran stabilizers mirror each other. Horace Grant in 1995, Harrison Barnes in 2026. Not the headline, not the future, but essential experience inside a young contender suddenly under championship pressure. And when you zoom out, both teams look identical in structure. A dominant young big, a rising young guard, homegrown wings, a veteran stabilizer, a franchise suddenly ahead of schedule. Chapter 3, The Veteran Contenders. The finals were never just about potential. They were about resistance. In 1995, the Rockets entered the playoffs as 6th seed nobody trusted. And in 2026, the Knicks entered the finals as a veteran-heavy roster nobody fully believed in. But both teams had something the younger teams didn't. They had already been through it. Hakeem Olajuwan anchored Houston's identity and Jalen Brunson anchored New York's. Both were leaders in the most literal sense. Players everything flowed through in the biggest moments. And both teams were built on the same idea. Survive long enough for the game to become familiar because young teams play fast and veteran teams play patient. And patience wins when pressure arrives. Chapter 4, The Path to the Finals. At this point, it starts to feel like we're stretching. So, let's look at the playoff runs. In 1995, Orlando's path looked like this. 1 loss in round 1, 2 losses in round 2, 3 losses in the conference finals. 3-1, 4-2, 4-3. Now look at San Antonio. 1 loss in round 1, 2 losses in round 2, 3 losses in the conference finals. 4-1, 4-2, 4-3. Same progression, same increasing difficulty, same survival test. Okay, now we're getting a little bit schizophrenic, aren't we? And even the supporting pieces align as the journey unfolds. Penny Hardaway grows into an offensive engine Orlando needs in tight series. Stephen Castle begins to take on the same responsibility in San Antonio's run. The structure doesn't change round from round, it tightens. Each series adds pressure, each round removes margin for error, and by the time both these teams reach the finals, there feels like there's going to be a rip in our dimension, and we're going to plop back into 1995. They're tested, but testing doesn't always prepare you for what comes next. Because sometimes it just exposes what you're missing. Chapter 5, the script repeats itself. Both finals begin with control on the young side. Game 1 of 1995, Game 4 of 2026. Both these games begin with control on the young side. Orlando looks like it's ready to announce itself. San Antonio looks like it's about to take over the league and shift this series. Then the pressure shifts. In 1995, Nick Anderson steps up to the line late in Game 1 with a chance to seal it. 4 missed free throws change everything. In 2026, the Spurs watch a massive lead, 27 at halftime, 29 in the game, slowly disappear under pressure. Empty possessions, missed chances, a tightening grip. And finally, Victor Wembanyama missing 2 free throws in the crucial parts of the late Game 4. Houston starts to believe. New York starts to believe. And then comes the moment that connects both eras. Clyde Drexler attacks in 1995. Jalen Brunson attacks in 2026. Both shots miss. Both rebounds hang in the air like they've frozen. And then it happens. Hakeem Olajuwan appears. OG Anunoby appears. One touch, one tip. 2 games that instantly flipped the series. A veteran team stealing control. A young superstar standing a few feet away, watching it slip. Shaq watching Hakeem, Wemby watching OG, and suddenly, the comparison stops being interesting. It starts feeling written. If this really is the 1995 script playing out again, then the story isn't finished. Because Shaquille O'Neal did not peak in 1995. He learned from it, he evolved from it, he dominated after. MVPs followed, championships followed, a Hall of Fame career followed. So if Wembanyama truly is the next version of that story, then 2026 might not be the warning. It might be the foundation, the moment that forces adjustment, the moment that builds dominance, that moment that shapes a decade. Or maybe none of this is real. Maybe it's just pattern recognition gone too far. Maybe basketball history only feels scripted when you zoom in close enough. But if the next 10 years of NBA start looking familiar, don't be surprised if people look back at 1995 and 2026 and say the same thing. It didn't repeat. It rhymed too perfectly to ignore.